side of the law and from a lot of older people who were here. He was a police officer, but he still received the treatment that a lot of you here have witnessed injustice, prosecutorial misconduct, exculpatory evidence being withheld, and a lot of other issues. There were witnesses in Daniel's case that were basically fished for by the detectives as they bragged about going door to door, asking people, though it was incorrect, saying, "We received an anonymous tip. You were sexually assaulted by an Oklahoma City police officer." There was no tip. There was no evidence to support any of these claims. But there were people who were willing to come forward because at the time there was a difficult climate in Oklahoma City, and in some neighborhoods it was very difficult, the relationship between Oklahoma City officers and members of the public. Rather than doing the right thing and investigating, looking for evidence, going where the evidence leads, instead, the detectives investigated with bias, believing that Daniel was guilty after it was a quick interview, and then, like I said, procuring victims, looking through people he had run records checks on in the course of his duties, and then going down and taking those records, going door to door, and asking people to basically come forward with an accusation. And then once the accusation came in, that was good enough, because even though Daniel, who is white and Japanese, tall and muscular, was described by some of these victims as short, Hispanic, black, having blonde hair, and all these other descriptors, it didn't matter what they said, they all attributed it to Daniel. It didn't matter what the evidence said, forensic evidence. It didn't matter that nothing was linked to Daniel. It still all came back to Daniel. And because there were cowardly administrators, and cowardly city politicians, and prosecutors who were willing to lie to win a case because that was the priority, and because of a crime lab in Oklahoma City that was been riddled with all sorts of scandal for decades, where they're willing to lie on the stand about what their own forensic reports said, even though the forensic reports that have come out after the fact have shown that they lied. None of that, unfortunately, has been enough yet. A lot of voices here I know have been discouraged because of the lack of listening that they've received from other people. I just want to encourage all of our politicians who are here. Every single time you run for office, you put out a flyer and you go door to door and you brag about how Christian you are. But I will not go to my Maker and stand in front of Christ knowing what I know now and saying that I was not willing to stand up for the person that I believe was innocent. And I think any of us who profess to be Christians should have the exact same direction in our life. That if we know what the truth is, we should feel that we are betraying our Savior by not being willing to stand up and to speak out on behalf of those who have been unfairly treated and unfairly convicted. And that's all I have to say. Thank you so much.